How could you? How could you do this to me? How could you sleep with my sister? How could you just walk out on us like that and never even contact us for months? How could you treat me like I didn't exist? How could you hit me when you say that you love me? How could you get me into such debt? How could you stand by and let me suffer so badly? How could you not see what you were doing? How could you not understand what I was saying to you? How could you tear us apart like this? How could you say such awful, horrible things to me? How could you, in our bed of all places? How could you even look at yourself in the mirror after doing that? How could you let me down in such a terrible way? How could you destroy our family? How could you not control yourself? How could you do such a thing to your own children, for God's sake? How could you disappear like that? How could you be so heartless? There is little doubt that you have asked one or more of the questions that I have just read, or a variation of those queries when dealing with our kind. Your question will have been asked in a heightened emotional state as your world collapsed, and you struggled to comprehend that somebody could behave in such a manner. Nothing made sense anymore. Everything you thought that you knew had been torn up, rewritten, and trampled into the dirt. Your alarm, your confusion, your distress were considerable, and your bewilderment and sheer astonishment that a human being could do such things only served to make your position even worse. Whatever was said or done, no matter how morally bereft, ethically bankrupt, or socially unacceptable the act, no matter the level of depravity, the depths to which we sunk, and the new low that we achieved, you found yourself asking this question. No matter what you did, what you gave, and what you gave often, it mattered not one iota, because you were left asking this question: how could you? Invariably, you received no explanation. Silence ruled the day. Or, if we interacted with you, denial and deflection came. Perhaps there was some kind of mumbled explanation, or even a demonstration of false contrition by way of a preventative hoover. But whatever our response will have been, it will have not given you the truth of how we could have done those things. Why is it that the narcissist feels able to behave in such a way? What is behind all of such actions towards you? We are able to say those things and commit those acts for several reasons. 1. An absence of emotional empathy. We have no emotional empathy. It does not guide our behavior in the way that it does with you. It does not act as an inherent brake upon certain actions. It does not cause us to consider and reflect, to think, would I like it if this were to happen to me? There is no such restraint. And without it, we are able to commit these acts quite readily. 2. The golden period. You were given a golden or bronze period. You were either spared the worst of our behaviour for a time period, i.e. the bronze period associated with the lesser, or you were given the whole glorious illusion of love, passion, dizzying elation. You received this, and you embraced it willingly. There is a price that comes with such largesse, you know, and now you are paying for it through us behaving in such a manner which has caused you such distress. 3. Entitlement. We act out of a rampant sense of entitlement. Who are you to challenge what we have done? On what basis are you allowed to stop us doing as we please? Who do you think you are, questioning us as to how we could have done those things? We are entitled to do as we please, when and how we like, and you have to deal with that. Someone as great as us gets to behave as we want, and you ought to know better than to challenge us about it. Our narcissism creates this sense of entitlement, this attitude of access all areas, that we are gifted, that we are brilliant. And in many instances, there is substance behind that. But in many instances, there are not. And therefore, in the latter, the narcissism creates the delusion that the narcissist is able to do as they please, resulting in so many times the question, "Do you know who I am?" has been asked by some Z-list celebrity to an unimpressed bouncer at the door of an establishment. Number 4, necessity. Everything we do is required by the necessity of gaining the prime aims, whether it was to control you, to threaten you, to reject your threat to our control, to gain fuel, to punish you, to remind you of your position, to reinforce our perceived superiority, to preserve the facade, and so many other potential reasons. Everything we do is born out of necessity from our perspective, and if the collateral consequence is that you suffer from it, then that is how it must be. Our needs matter. Yours do not. 5. No accountability. There can be no penalty, sanction, or reprimand for our actions. We are immune from punishment or consequence. We do not even have to explain ourselves. We are not accountable. We are not culpable. We are not held to account for our actions. There can be no such hindrances, no delays, no shackles upon us. And, therefore, we act without the necessity of providing an explanation. And for you to ask, "How could you?" is merely yet another challenge which we do not have to respond to. 6. No awareness. The lesser or mid-range narcissist will not even be aware that what they have done is wrong or offensive, since their perspective of the world is different to yours. The lesser often doesn't even realise they've done anything wrong at all, and you'll be met with, "What are you talking about?" or a blank look. The mid-ranger may understand why you're complaining, but you deserved it. It was justified. You brought it upon yourself. And therefore, when you ask, "How could you?" the lesser will just give you a shrug. They just do as they do. They don't see how this has caused a problem for you. And with the mid-ranger, they are puzzled as to why you're even asking the question. You should know, because you brought it upon yourself. 7. No admission. The greater narcissist and the ultra know what has happened is considered to be wrong by you. Not that we care, and furthermore neither will we admit as such. And to do so would be a sign of weakness and hand an advantage to you. 8. You deserve it. You don't function as you should do anymore. You've gone rogue and you've let us down from our perspective. Accordingly, our behaviour was entirely merited as a punishment to be meted out as against you. 9. No conscience. There is no downside, no guilt or remorse in doing what we did. You may see it as wrong. You may have been hurt by it, but it troubles us not. We are untroubled by the import of your allegations only insofar as they threaten our control, and with our various manipulations we shall reject that threat to control, and continue and carry on as we always have done. These are the reasons why we do as we do, all linked to the furtherance of the prime aims of control, fuel, character traits, and residual benefits. So, when you find yourself asking a narcissist and then reflecting afterwards, how on earth could this person do this? Remember, it is for all of the reasons that I have explained that we are wired, we are created differently to you. And it is understandable that you are left questioning, how could we behave this way? That it is inhuman, disgraceful. It is from your perspective, but not from ours. Do you think that the narcissist goes home and thinks, what I did there was the real act of a complete shit? No. Do you think Donald Trump retires to the White House, the West Wing of the White House, and thinks to himself, fuck me, that was a shocking press conference that I gave there. I made myself look really stupid. No, he doesn't even think about it. Or, if it comes up on the radar, he was brilliant. He was great. It was a great, great, great press conference. He's untroubled. He's right. He's always right. He's no conscience, no concern. The prime aims had to be obtained. And so if someone to ask him, how could you say the things that you said? He would just give them a look as if to say, what are you talking about? I'm right, you're wrong. Do you think that any narcissist reflects on what has happened and considers himself culpable? No. Lesser and mid-range narcissists engage in no reflection whatsoever. Mid-rangers might pretend that they do as part of triangulation and pity play. Promise change, for instance. Greater than the ultra reflect not so much from a point of view of internalization of behavior, in terms of looking at the behavior and thinking, I did wrong there, but rather reflecting on the effectiveness of actions with a view to improvement thereafter, where it is required. When you ask, how could you? You are driven to do so from your perspective, because our behavior offends what has occurred. Our behavior does not sit with your view of reality, and therefore, understandably, you are shocked, amazed, stunned by the moral repugnancy of what we do, often by the illegality of what the narcissist has done. But you need to understand, you do not need to like it, but you must understand, we do the things that we do because we see the world differently from you, and we always will. So when you ask, how could you? You need to say, quite simply, he did it because he's a narcissist. And then, if necessary, you can drill down further into the behaviours through the narcissistic perspective to understand precisely why it was done, why the manipulation was utilised, how it was easy for us to do because there was no emotional empathy associated with it, that it was born out of a sense of entitlement and an absence of an accountability, and it was done in the furtherance of the prime aims. I'm H.G. Tudor. Thank you for listening.